I feel like I'm pulling myself up by the bootstraps at the moment. I've got some lovely old tools, but they're all kind of rusty, and my knowledge is sort of growing. So I don't always know whether I'm going to do a good job or not. But I feel like I've done a reasonably good job on this one. I have an old lathe, and it needed leveling. It still needs leveling. But before I could get to that, I had to restore this one out. It was quite rusty. I'll show you a picture of what it was like when I started. Yeah, so it had a lot of rust over it, and so much that I was, well, not too much, but enough that I was worried about the level, how accurate it was. This isn't calibrated at the moment. I've just taken it apart to put some heavier oil on. I let it sat for a week so that the paint would cure a little bit. Yeah, but I think I've done a reasonable job on it. I mean, I'm not any kind of hand tool rescue, and I'm certainly no expert when it comes to hand scraping, but I feel like I've made this more accurate than when it was originally purchased, and certainly more accurate than it was with all the rust on it. So I'm going to show you a video now of basically how I kind of got to this point. Some of it will be video, some of it will be pictures. Yeah, and there's the scraping on the bottom, which I know it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. It's a lot more accurate than it was. I didn't want to tackle these edges at the moment just yet. I want to practice on something a little bit more less critical before I do it. But the surfaces here, they feel nice and smooth, and they're making good contact now, whereas before I was just contacting just on the ends there, even after the rust was cleaned off. But yeah, it's quite a nice old thing. Now I did have to use a bit of unreasonable force on the thumb wheel here, and I've replaced it with a nut because I think that the nut is actually going to serve me better than the thumb wheel. This was really seized on, and you'll see from the video I had to use a pair of mole grips, and even though I used leather wrapped around them, it still did quite a bit of damage to the knurling on the front. I mean, I could replace it once the lathe is back up and running. It wouldn't be any too much bother just to either make a new one or to smooth this off and re-knurl it, but I think, to be honest, I'll stick with a nut. Now the colour, I know, is not everyone's cup of tea. The black paint that was on there before was very sexy, but thing is, I want to be able to see this thing in the workshop, and fire engine red, may not like it too much, but it's a lot more visible in the workshop. So I do need to calibrate it again. I've literally just put it back together again after putting some heavier oil on it. I let it sit there for a week after painting, just so the paint's got a bit of time to harden up and cure properly. And in the meantime I had some thicker oil which I wanted to cover over. So I need to recalibrate this, and I found a great video on it. I'm not going to cover it here, but I will post a link to that video because it was very helpful. It was someone showing how to, it's old iron shops, and he shows how to calibrate these things, but without having to use a surface plate, because I don't have a surface plate, and it's, you know, I mean, you don't need anything really other than a reasonably flat surface, but it can be a little bit disheartening sometimes when a video starts and it's like all the tools are thousands of pounds and you just feel a little bit like, oh, I'm never going to be at that level. Anyway, I'm going to show you some of the bits of video now, and yeah, we'll see how I got to this point. Thanks for watching. So that's pretty much how I got to this point. Couple of little things as well. The pencil you saw when I was marking up these lines, just to make them a little bit more visible. That wasn't actually a normal pencil, it was the black pencil from a set of coloured pencils, and it seems to have gone in quite nicely. Bear in mind though that this is etched glass, so there is like a little ridge in there for the pencil to rub off on. I didn't show too much of the scraping. There's far better and more knowledgeable people out there to show you how to do that. But yeah, I'd watched a lot of videos, but the one thing I would say is that you don't know what you're doing until you've actually got your hands dirty, until you've given it a little bit of a try. And it's a lot easier than I expected. And actually I was having to take off a lot less metal than I thought. I probably started out taking a bit too much metal off in one go, and towards the end I was really taking quite light cuts and getting it a lot smoother. I've got a cheap XY vise which I'm going to practice on before I go any further on this one, but for the time being I'm pretty happy with the results. I hope you liked the video, and give me a like if you like it, don't if you don't. I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.